Today we're talking about how to curse with magic. It's gonna be a little bit different than the stuff that I normally put out. I normally am super focused on astrology and normally super focused on transit updates and kind of what's going on. And also, with everything that's going on in the world, feels like it might be a little bit time to brush up on some cursing magic. Let's get some foundations, let's get some fundamentals. My name is Valkyria Verder. Grateful to have you here. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming to say hey. We're talking about how to curse. We're gonna go over some precautionary notes, precautionary things to think about beforehand. So the actual how to curse part of this is gonna be farther towards the end because there's a lot of like preliminary, cursing somebody or cursing something. That's a big deal. That's a big thing to do. So we're talking about preparation stuff before that, just to make sure. You always got to be prepared. Well, not always, but it's best to be prepared. It's less stress to be prepared if you're going to be practicing magic. So we're looking at some preparation. I'm all about preparation. I love preparation. Love you, preparation. Thank you, preparation. So in your astrology chart, you're going to need to go and look at your 8th house, your Pluto, and any Scorpio placements for sure. Those are going to be placements where if any backfire happens, it'll more than likely attack the Pluto 8th house and Scorpio placements in your chart. Those skills are also going to be Pluto 8th house and Scorpio stuff that's going on. Those placements are also going to be, in my opinion, the most easily cool. They're going to be the most easily sharpened tools for this sort of work. So that you could also look at your Neptune, your Pisces, and your 12th house placements. Those are also going to be some pretty easily sharpened tools for this kind of work. Those placements in those spaces, both the Pisces, Scorpio spaces, and the 8th house, okay, 8th house, 12th house, Pisces, Scorpio, Neptune, Pluto. You could look at your Mars too for Scorpio. It's going to teach you how you prioritize and how you gain victories. So that's another one to look at as well. Those astrological placements, it's a double-edged sword for them, okay? It's going to show you how you're able to get the job done, but it's also going to show you how other people are able to get that job done where you are. So you've got to look at both sides when you're looking at those placements, because if you're not looking at both sides when you're looking at those placements, you're leaving yourself open and unguarded. So make sure that you're looking at both sides when you're looking at those placements. Look at the positive, look at the negative. How's this going to help me? How could this hurt me possibly? Is this going to help me? Is this going to leave me open? Is it going to work for me or is it going to not work for me? How's it going to work for me? How's it not going to work for me? So looking at both sides, go through and ask yourself some questions. Get familiar with those spaces and get familiar with those places, because if you really are taking the time to get familiar with those places, you're going to figure out that you have an armory with you. Okay, so now that we have that said and done, listen, sometimes this kind of work is fun and also it's serious. It's serious. This is serious work. To be cursing somebody, to be crossing somebody, because what really is a curse? How would you even really define a curse? Let's talk about that. How would you even really define a curse? Anybody? You want to leave me your definition in the comments? Because, listen, I'm going to give you mine here in a second. How would you even define a curse? For me, cursing is just a specific kind of crossing. And when I say crossing, we're talking about fate. We're talking about exchanges. Exchanges are where the Pluto stuff starts to come in. Exchanges are, I have this thing, you have that thing, let's trade, okay? When you're doing a crossing work, it's pretty similar. I have this thing, you have that thing, let's cross, okay? If you're crossing a road, if you're crossing a path, then it could be like a section of your life, okay? If you've gone into a chapter, you've gone into a season, all right? You can kind of feel that things have shifted and changed, right? I've crossed into something new, cross through. Sometimes you gotta cross out of stuff. I'm done with this relationship. I'm done with these people. I'm done with this job. I'm gonna cross out of that. But to be able to cross out of those things, you've gotta be able to cross into another space, place, embrace, right? You can't just cross into nothing. That'd be death. We love death. Well, I can't speak for you. I'll speak for me. I love death. I don't want to go there prematurely though, So in the fact that this is serious work, you're crossing another person. Now, if you look at the way that witches keep the balance in the world, if you're going to cross another person, you have to have gone through a crossing that's similar to what it is you're going to do. If it, especially, because there's two different ways that cursing works. One is that somebody's come against you unjustified, okay? And I'm going to put a blog post with this video that goes a little bit more into the depths of the ancestral work of cursing and what to look for and how to pay attention to it. And there's more information that there's no community guidelines really on Substack on the blog, so I can talk a little bit more freely over there about certain topics and about certain things. So if you're a little bit more interested in that sort of stuff, then it's going to be over on the blog space. If you're really serious about this, I would recommend that you actually go and look at it. But if you're just here for curiosity's sake, then maybe you don't really need to. It's up to you, okay? But if you're really serious about it, I would go look at it, okay? And also, there's two different ways that cursing really works. One of them is that someone comes against you unjustified. You're not in a cycle of whatever's going on that they've come against you with. You're not placed in a position by spirit. Specifically, you're not placed in a position by spirit to have to go through whatever it is that person is bringing to you. Could be something ancestral that maybe you'd have to go through in a cycle. It could be something that you've inherited, okay? There's a reason that people talk about ancestral curses and breaking ancestral curses. So if you're not in that position, though, say that you've done the breaking of the curse work, you're out of the cycles, you realize very specifically like what is coming against you, you either have already removed yourself from it or were not in the cycle to begin with, okay? Which is way less common. It's more than likely you're gonna have already actively kind of removed yourself out of something. And also, sometimes it just is. Sometimes people don't have a lot going on in their noggin and are very ancestrally driven in a way that's not really healthy for anybody. And that's what I'll say about that. So say that somebody comes up against you. Well, hold on, let me finish that thought. That would be if there's a person like that comes up against you, okay? Maybe you're already out of something. Maybe you didn't even have to do the work to get out of something. Maybe you just are already living your life in a new cycle, in a new way, in a new space, okay? So we're gonna get into more specifics on the negative side of things in a second, if you were in a cycle, etc. But two different ways it happens. One, somebody comes against you specifically, comes against your family specifically, comes against something in your life specifically. Unjustified. And this is going to require that you're looking at your ancestral cycles to make sure that it's unjustified, looking at, any systems that you're involved in, however that might work for you, the political systems, government systems, jobs, money, anything that your family is involved in, has been involved in. Systems. Look at the systems, look at the institutions. Systems and institutions, while similar, are separate. They go together, but they're like this. Systems and institutions. Institutions need the systems. The systems are what really create the institutions. Okay, so look at both of those spaces. Systems create some institutions. Some things are just institutionalized, and that is a system. Direct specificity. Thank you for the clarity. Okay, so look at those. Look at how you're cycled with that on an individual level, on a familial level, on an ancestral level. Look at what's really going on for you, okay? And really look at the cycles. For hundreds of years back, sometimes you gotta double check and make sure. Check in with your ancestral spirits if you need to. Make sure you're really double checking everything. If you're out of it, and someone's crossing you unjustified, okay, well then ride. If someone's crossing you unjustified, then ride. That's why I said check in, then ride. And what do I mean by ride? Go through with whatever you have to do. Now, if you find yourself, and this is gonna be a little bit more for people who are maybe a little bit fresher or a little bit new in the world of cursing and crosswork, okay? If you are not really sure, is this something that my ancestors were going through, and maybe I have to go through because they were going through it, and now I'm the one who has to break the cycle. Sometimes people are going to come up against you. This is my experience, all right? This is my experience with breaking ancestral curses. There's sometimes people have come up against me who I had to have them come up against me, unjustified on an individual level, but my lineage, my blood was still carrying some sort of cycle. We were still in some sort of cursed cycle. So for me to even be able to realize that we were still carrying that, including myself, then I had to have a person come up against me. So in those situations, here's another kind of alteration. We're going to call it an alteration. Another way that I do curse work, cross work, I'm going to cross myself out of it. I have somebody else coming up against me. I'm crossing myself out of it. I'm elevating myself out of it. May I be elevated out of it. May I be able to love myself out of this. May I be able to elevate myself out of this. May my ancestors be elevated out of this. May my ancestors be elevated into a position where this thing no longer happens. And because we cannot do unto others what has not been done unto ourselves, individually, ancestrally. And that's why I say check, double check. If someone's coming against you unjustified, then they've already done it to you, which means, of course, hello, yeah, I'm going to go back then. If someone's coming against me unjustified, and this is one of the reasons, let me take it even further back. This is one of the reasons that preparation, one of the reasons, not the reason, but one of the reasons that preparation is so important, because once you start to figure out, you know, kind of what your crossings are in your life. How is your life ordered? What are your ancestral orderings like? How are you set up? What bad things, I'm going to quote that because that's a big subjective word, okay? What bad things have happened to you? What crossings, neutral, good or bad, have happened to you that you have had to deal with, have made your life harder, have put you through some sort of hardship, and also the good stuff. What's the good stuff that's happened to you? Be aware of the good crossings also, because if something good has happened to you, then that means probably there's something that you can lose. So protect yourself also. Preparation for this kind of crosswork is really important. Because if you can look at, oh, I've been through this hardship, and I've been through this hardship, and I've been through this hardship, and I've been through wherever these hardships have been for me, if I've been through those, and I can look at whoever's coming against me, I know that about myself, right? I know that about my lineage. I know the work that I've done to break the curses of my lineage. I know what's going on here. I'm aware. Thank you, Spirit. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. And gratitude, reverence, and love to the indigenous spirits of this land where I do sit, talk, walk, and stand, and where you are receiving these messages now. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you, the highest spirit. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the great mother spirit. Gratitude, reverence, and love to the great father spirit, to the highest father spirit, to the highest mother spirit. That's true. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you who are sitting here receiving these messages. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for revering the fear. Because, you know, curse work, cross work, probably a little bit of fear involved in that. So good for you. Keep doing what you need to do. Okay. If you're doing curse work, cross work, sort of thing, and you know what's going on for you, okay, that means being an involved practitioner. How are you involved with your practice? What are you doing to be in a practice? How are you involved with your lifestyle in your practice? Also, just being aware of the order of the crossings that have happened for you in your life. If you know that about yourself, and you can look at somebody who's coming against you and you can say, and this is kind of where the Neptune stuff comes into place. The Neptune, the Pisces, the 12th house stuff that I was talking about earlier. Because then you're going to need to use some of your gifts to look at what are they going through? Why are they doing this to me? What's their position? What's their motivation? What's their intention? Okay. What spirits rock with them and ride with them? Because I need to know that. If I'm going to go up against somebody, hello. If I'm going to go up against somebody, some people's practices are veiled enough that you're not going to know. So you got to be able to identify with your gifts through your spiritual practice, talking to spirit, talking to your spirits. If you have a relationship, a healthy relationship with your ancestral spirits, okay, because everybody's practice is different. It is what it is. You got to be able to identify, you know, what's this person really doing? What's their practice look like? Who in the spirit's protecting them? Who rocks with them? Who rides with them? Are they unjustified within their spiritual space and place? Are they unjust? Because sometimes people are going to be justified within their structures and their sets of rules and within their spiritual spaces, but it's not necessarily justified from where you come from and with your sets of rules and with your structures, okay? So then you've got to look at the bigger picture, the spirit justice with a capital J, Mother Justice, love you justice, okay? Yes, love you, Mother Justice. Love you, Mother Justice. That's true. Thank you. Grateful for you. So if you're really looking up into, you know, the higher picture, the bigger picture of things, then you have to be able to look between both spiritual structures. How are they different? If it's unjustified in one and justified in the other, why is that? And this is why that process, the processing of elevation through love, in love, by love, around love, with love, for love, encompassing love is so important. Because then if you can look at both the spaces, okay, you have your practice, your spirits, your structure, your space. They have their spirits, their practice, their structure, their space, justified, unjustified, however it's working. If you can get the bigger picture, sometimes that form of elevation and that form of wisdom, that form of healing, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's enough, because sometimes you see the picture of, oh, this is what they're going through and this is why they would do that to me. They're already cursed and crossed in something. I'm not supposed to add to that. I don't want people adding to my carrying, you know. I'm not supposed to add to that. They're already wrapped up in whatever's going on. So always, 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 I'm going to say it again. Always, 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 always look in those elevated perspectives first. Because if you don't, and you cast something and you're saying whatever it is that you're saying, and you don't have that higher perspective, and for whatever reason it was required of you to go through and understand and elevate your perspective and elevate your practice and elevate your spirits and elevate your ancestral spirits and elevate the gods around you and elevate the spirits around you. If that was the assignment, and you haven't done that, by goodness, by golly, you're going to get sent through whatever it is you're trying to cast on that person too. Because again, you can't do something to somebody else that hasn't already been done to you. Sometimes, especially, and this goes for people who are going through some kind of initiation, all right? Some kind of initiation, a self-initiation, you've been initiated by another person. Maybe it's been pronounced over you. Maybe spirit lets you know you're going through something. You're going through an initiation, all right? However, those speakings, pronunciations, pathways, pathworks are for you, if they are. Sometimes through initiation, Spirit's going to place you in a position where there's somebody coming up against you. Okay, how are you going to handle this? How are you going to handle this? You got to let me, from Spirit's watching you. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to look at this person? How are you going to solve this problem? How are you going to handle somebody coming up against you to really mess with your life? How are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle it? That's going to inform spirit through those initiation process. And if there's any spirits involved in that initiation process, it's going to inform them too. Because usually if the highest spirit's involved, there's going to be other spirits involved. That's just what it is, including yourself and your ancestral spirit. Okay. So the spirits are looking at you. Also, if you're going through some form of initiation, more than likely there's supposed to be some form of authority that's earned in the spirit. That's part of what initiation is. It's offering you some kind of authority. There's authority that you are earning by going through those harder situations through a process of initiation. This is again for people who are specifically going through some kind of initiatory experience, okay? So if you find yourself in the middle of something and you're looking to curse somebody because they're coming up against you, you're gonna know, okay? If it's necessary, you're gonna know. You're gonna know it in your soul, in your heart, in your bones, in your gut. You're gonna know it. You're gonna know it in your womb. You're gonna know it in your eyes. You're gonna know it in your dreams. You're gonna know. You're gonna know. You're gonna know. You're gonna know. And that's why I say double check everything, because if you are unsure, there's another lesson. If you are unsure, then you're learning something else. If you are it's not to say don't defend yourself, because clearly and obviously, please take care of yourself. And also, if you're not sure, the Spirit's probably got you in another assignment. Spirit's probably got you in another lesson. Spirit's got you with some other homework over here. Maybe you asked for something way back when, and now Spirit's got you in this lesson because you've got to go through it to earn the wisdom and earn the tools and earn whatever it is that Spirit needs you to earn so you can have this other thing over here. It might look inconvenient in the moment. It might look inconvenient at the time, but what's really going on is Spirit saying, I'm giving you what you asked for. You didn't ask to go to war. You didn't ask for that to be in your life. I understand that. And you asked for something over here. And to be able to get here, you got to go through whatever that is that Spirit's asking you to go through. And you asked back there. So that's why I say just double check, double check, double check, double check, double check, double check. And if you're not sure, there's something else going on. If you're not sure, there's something else going on. Now, if you're going after a person who hasn't come after you, okay, so this is going to be different. If you're going after a person who hasn't come after you, say that there's whoever the person might be, okay? Whoever the person might be. If you're going, you got to make sure that you know who they are. Again, go through and check their credentials. Who's on their spirit team? How are their ancestors moving? How are they moving with the ancestral lineage that they've inherited? Because that's a decision. That's a decision of that person. So check in on that. And this is, again, tapping into those gifts, tapping into what it is you really got going on in the spirit. If you're just going after somebody, get your defenses up. Get your defenses up. Be defended, okay? Not pretended defended. Not the big, like, yeah, I got it. Up in arms. No. This would be work that you're doing at nighttime, more than likely. You're going to be doing it under the veils. You're going to be doing it in the shadows. You got to plan it. You got to plot it. You got to strategize, okay? If you're just going after somebody, you got to get the defenses up. You got to get layer after layer after layer to make sure that they're not going to return that to you. They're not going to be able to identify who you are. Because there's some people in this world who don't look like they have a practice, who wouldn't ever talk about spirituality, who walk in the world and are heavily protected. Working a normal job. Maybe they don't even work a job. Maybe they're out doing whatever they're doing, okay? There are some people who walk in this world who do not look like they are practitioners. And that's for a reason. Stay protected. Stay directed. Okay? There's many reasons that that is a thing, and that's true. You don't want to end up the small guy picking a fight with a giant, okay? So know who you are, know your skills, know your wills. Look at the magic that you've been practicing as well, because the magic that you've been practicing is going to help to inform you. Like I said, sometimes we have things to lose, right? So look at the magic you've been practicing. Is that protected? Is that created in an order where it's safe? And don't go up against anybody that you don't actually want to have to protect yourself from. That's what I'll say about that. Don't go up against anybody that you would actually want, that you would have to protect yourself from. If you look at a person, you're like, and you like, you know, with your gifts, you look into it. I don't know that I want to protect myself from anything that will come off of them. Okay, well then don't go curse them. Okay, well then don't go curse them. For example, say that there's somebody with more political power, more power in a system. Maybe it's your boss, okay? Maybe it's your boss. And you decide that you're going to curse your boss. Maybe they're you off. I can't say that on this video. Maybe they're making you mad. Maybe they're doing something that's really bad. And you say, yeah, I'm going to go and curse them. That's your boss. They sign your checks. They have, in a hierarchical way, more power than you do. Maybe in the spirit they don't, but in the physical they do. So you got to check in on those bindings. How is your power and their power bound in the physical? You got to look at that also. You got to look at your physical bindings. That's going to help to protect you. It's going to help to direct you. It's going to help you understand where are you open. This is going to be Saturn. Looking at the Saturn placement, 10th house placements, and whatever rules your Saturn. And Capricorn. Go look at Capricorn. Those spaces in your chart are going to let you know. They're going to let you know that you're going to need some extra protection, extra direction, some extra bindings. Take some time and really think about it. Because that's where the hardest hits that you could give are going to be. And it's going to be the hardest hits that you're going to receive are going to come from those spaces also. So really make sure that you've got everything bound up in the order that you need before you start going after another person. Okay. The other thing to think about is, can you solve it before you practice anything? I can't believe we're this long into the video and I haven't even mentioned that yet. Can you solve it before you go practice magic? Can you just sit and talk to spirit? Can you just sit and talk to spirit? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Then if you're really ready to actually curse somebody, let's talk about that. So we've gone through all of these different preparatory notes. Preparatory. Be prepared, okay? Be prepared. You got to ask spirit too. You got to ask yourself. You got to ask, I mean, you don't have to ask spirit, but me, if I'm going to go curse somebody, am I going to be safe doing this, high spirit? Is this something that needs to be done? Do I need to be doing this? Is it going to mess up what I already got going on for me? Lots of questions. Because I'm not, how do I say that? I know what's important to me and I'm not going to put that in jeopardy. So if you're going to actually, everything else has been in the video, all right? If you're going to actually go and curse somebody, the next question is, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to keep up the work if you need to? Are you ready to continue to have that curse in your order moving forward? Because now you're the one practicing that magic. You're responsible for it. You're responsible for it. You could put somebody in a jar. You could put somebody in the freezer. You could bury somebody. Maybe not actually physically, okay, but you know, let me protect myself with my words. Don't actually go bury somebody in the dirt and the verbiage of it, okay? That's a way that we could talk about curses if you're gonna put someone's name in the dirt. There's a lot of different ways to curse somebody. There's a lot of different ways to curse somebody. This video is not ways to curse someone. This is how to curse somebody, okay? So the difference between the two. If you're looking for ways to curse somebody, go read a book, go look at some other stuff. This is how to curse somebody. We're talking about the structure and the order of it. We're not talking about specific spell work here. Because I don't need to know about it. I don't need to know. Keep it off me. I don't need to know what you're cursing and what you're doing to get that done, okay? And thanks for that. And thanks for that. I don't need to know. Okay. So then say that you really do. You're like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to upkeep this. I'm ready to keep this jar in my space. I'm ready to make sure that I can handle the spirits that will come around me because I practice this magic. Some people are really about it. Thank you. Some people are, because once you start it, listen, this is with any kind of magic, but this included. Once you start it, you can't unring a bell. There are some doors you can't close, okay? You can't undo it. Once you start, you can't stop. You're going to have to sit with the consequences. You're going to have to keep the work up. And if you're trying to get out of it, sometimes it takes a long time. If you're trying to uncross yourself from the crossing you created to hurt somebody else, it takes time to do that. It takes time to do that. So now you're creating a cycle. You're creating, right? I was talking about being in cycles. So if you're going to think about when people break ancestral curses, okay, it's stuff that's been carried in the lineage for a long time. If you're going to go and curse somebody else, you're going to go and you said, it's justified. I'm going to go do this. Maybe you don't even check in on justice. Okay, listen, that's none of my business. I would personally. And it's none of my business if that's what you do. So say that you're going to go and do that. You say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the upkeep of it. I'm ready to make sure that the spirits that are going to be involved in this curse are taken care of, that there's offerings for them, that I'm talking to them, that however your practice works, okay, because it's different for everybody. I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to make sure that it's good because you can't ask for something and not pay for it. So if you don't make sure that that's upkept, probably stuff's going to get taken from you. That's just how magic is. The spirits are going to come get their payment whether you're offering it or not once you've started something. So you got to make sure that they're taken care of, whoever it is that's involved in that work, okay? Love you, the spirits, and I love you, the structures. Thank you for that. So if you say to yourself, yeah, listen, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready. That's what I want to do. I want to keep that up. I want to make sure that I'm ready. I'm ready, okay? If that's what you're working in, that's how you feel about it, good for you. And let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen. You're starting a new cycle. You're putting it on another person's ancestral lineage. you've got to think about also, how is that going to affect the world? If that person has kids and they're carrying the curse, what's that going to do to their lineage? What's the purpose of the curse? Okay. Is there an end to the curse? A lot of the times in these sorts of contracts and these sorts of spell works and these sorts of curses, crossings, right? What's the end? You've got to look at where's the end of it. Indefinitely? You're signing up an ancestral lineage indefinitely to have to handle that? You're not going to be here indefinitely, okay? There has to be an end to it. So putting an end on it, curse breaks when this happens. Curse breaks when they get this learned. Curse breaks when what? When what? Okay? Curse breaks when this. So you got, it's a contractual thing at that point. When is it done? Okay? So when is it done? Because you're signing up not just one person sometimes. Sometimes you're signing up an entire lineage. You cast it on one person, so that could be a part of the contract too. Is it just the one person, or is it going to be their family involved? Be specific. Be so specific. Because if you're not specific, spirits who are sent out in soup, they're going to do whatever they're going to do. So be specific, okay? So be specific. Be so specific. Be so specific. Okay. So if you're working on that, you're starting a new cycle. You're starting a new cycle. You're starting a new curse cycle. If you're going to be casting curses on other people, you're going to need to make sure that you're breaking curses in your lineage too. It goes hand in hand together, because as practitioners, we got to keep the balance. If you were to cast curses on somebody and then not break the curses of where you come from, and not keep up the breaking of the curses of where things have been, maybe on a societal level, on a community level, breaking cycles, okay? If you don't do that, and you just keep up in the cycles that you're in, well, eventually there's gonna be something that's probably given back to you for you to then have to handle and deal with. So it's a very, very serious thing to go and curse somebody. It's a very, very serious thing to go and curse somebody. So if you're going to go and curse somebody, and a lot of the times, listen, this is how I handle these sorts of things, okay? This is how I handle these sorts of things. If I'm looking at the situation, because I'm focusing on myself, first and foremost, okay? I'm focusing on me. I got me covered. How am I walking through this? Why has this come up against me? Okay. Is there a cycle that I'm in? Do I have to go and check look at what I look like. Do I need to go and check my ancestors? Do I need to go and make sure that they're not being fooleries right now? Do I need to go and make sure that, we've got our structure and our order from my centered space as it needs to be? Do I need to go correct them? Do I need to hold somebody in my lineage responsible? How do I need to move in this? I'm always double checking that first. I'm always double checking, is it my problem first? Always. Unless I know that I'm not wrong, then that's a different story. But in the checks and balances of things, okay? I'm always checking. Is it me? Is it me? Am I the one who stinks? Am I the one who's got dirt on them? I gotta look. I gotta make sure. And the reason I gotta look and I gotta make sure, again, look at what I look like. And I'm in America. So, double check. Double check. Because a lot of the times for people who look like me and have American ancestry, the fight is in our own lineage. Go correct somebody. Go tighten up. Go clean it up. Go sweep it up. Go make sure that everything's good. First. Go do that first. Go do that first. Go do that first. If you don't go do that first, again, nothing on me. That's your decision. And also, I would just highly recommend that you go do that first. Go do that first. Okay. So I'm always checking myself first. Is it me? Is it, again, am I the one who stinks? Let me go look. But if I check and I'm working through ancestral cycles, I'm talking to spirit. Okay, is this really something that what's really going on? Where is this magic coming from? Why has this magic been working through me? And I find, no, that's, I'm elevating myself up out of the situation. I'm making sure I'm elevated up out of the situation. I'm elevating my ancestors up out of the situation. A lot of the times, for me, listen, elevation work is difficult work. That's how I curse people. Because I'm also thinking about, remember again, contractually, if you're cursing somebody, there has to be an end to things. I'm not cursing somebody to put them in a prison. I'm not cursing somebody to put them up in bindings that are going to keep them down. Because if it's another practitioner coming up against me, we're both practitioners. Why are we at war with each other? So a lot of the time, if I'm going to put binds on somebody like that, if I'm going to make sure that and this is my personal preference, okay? Listen, you could hit below the belt if you want to. Personally, I don't appreciate that sort of work. If somebody's coming against me and I can look at myself and say, I'm not the one who stinks. And I can look at this, whoever else it is, and realize they've got something going on. Their ancestors have them bound up in a cycle. They might not even realize that they're in. They've been practicing this magic that isn't actually helping them. What are they really doing? So then I'm going to wrap them up in elevation. I'm going to wrap them up in elevation probably every single time. I can't speak for future me because I don't know what she's going through, but probably every single time I'm going to wrap them up in elevation. Okay, well, may they be elevated up and out of those cycles. May they be elevated. May their ancestors be elevated. I'm not putting anybody back down in a place where they don't need to be. Okay, if somebody's already walking through enough hell that they're attacking me and I haven't done anything, clearly you needed me and you needed my magic for something. So I'm gonna elevate you. I'm elevating you up and out of it. And that's hard work to do. You gotta go climb the mountain now. Have fun. You gotta go climb the mountain. You gotta fight for it. And now you're bound up because I know how my magic works. And that's on a personal discernment for you and how your magic works if you're gonna be doing that sort of thing. I'm wrapping them up in elevation. I'm wrapping them up in love because a lot of the times people who are practicing like that, they don't actually love anybody. They don't have people around them to love them. Maybe they haven't had the support of love in their life. Some people come from families where they've been abused and used and hurt and pained and strained, okay? And if I come up against a practitioner like that and I see, well, clearly you haven't had anybody love you. Of course you don't know what the magic of love is. Then I'm wrapping them up in love too. You're gonna learn how to love yourself. You're gonna learn how to love your life. You're gonna learn how to love your career. You're gonna learn how to love your money. You're gonna learn how to love it. You're gonna learn how to love it and it's gonna elevate you. I'm wrapping them up in that, wrapping them up, and I'm wrapping them up and I'm wrapping them up and I'm gonna bind them up in it. I'm gonna wrap them up in it. And once they get wrapped up in it, they're gonna look back one day. Maybe it's gonna be their kids. Maybe it's gonna be somebody's kids. Who knows how long it's gonna take them to be in that process of elevation. But now I've just created a world where we as practitioners don't have to, and this is again personal discernment, where we don't have to sit and, because you got to think about, hold on, you got to think about the long-term effects of your magic. It's a responsibility. You're going to be practicing, that's a responsibility. You got to think about the long-term effects of your magic. You know, if you cast a curse on somebody, that's going to send ripple effects out into the world where it's hurting other people that you didn't even really mean to hurt. That is if the curse is to hurt somebody. But if you're sitting here and you're wrapping up somebody who clearly, obviously, maybe they haven't ever had somebody explain what elevation and love is. Maybe they've never felt those effects. Maybe they have never received that kind of magic. I know that I work in that. They found me for a reason. They're hurting me for a reason. Okay, well, clearly they need my magic and I'm an elevator with the buttons and everything. Okay, what floor do you need to go to? What floor do you need to go to? And we're going up in love, okay? Love is not always kisses and hugs. But sometimes love says boundaries. Sometimes love says, listen, I need some time. Sometimes love is not always so kind. It's just, it depends on the kind of love that you need. That's just what it is. Sometimes people need to be held accountable. Sometimes people need to be held accountable. Sometimes people, the love that it's based situationally, okay? So I'm wrapping them up in love. I'm wrapping them up in elevation. Now what? Now they're stuck in the cycle. Now I've created a cycle where them, their family, anybody they're interacting with, their kids, and however long the cycle takes to break, because that's when the cycle's gonna be over, be done, is when they have elevated themselves out of whatever it is that I bound them up in to elevate and love themselves through. Sometimes it takes generations to do that. But their family's going to be happy. They're going to actually be able to love themselves. Wherever the cycle ends, they're going to actually be able to love themselves. It's hard work to do that. It's hard work to do that. It's hard work to elevate. It's hard work to love. It's some of the hardest work I've done. Honestly, really. Loving and elevation, it's easy, yeah. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes. The hardest work I've ever done is being wrapped up in binds that want to keep me down and having to love myself to get out of them. So if I see them wrapped up in binds where they're attacking me or they're hurting me, they're assaulting me, they're abusing me, there's a lot of different situations I've been through. Okay, let them be elevated up and out of that. Let them be elevated up and out of that. I don't need them to receive more pain. They hurt enough, probably. If they're doing that to me, they hurt enough. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what their lineage has been through. If they're doing that to me, they hurt enough. I don't need to add to the pot. No, but you know what we are going to do? We're going to dump this out. This icky, yucky, whatever you got going on, we're going to fill it up with some love. And you're going to sit there probably for a long time and you're going to cry about everything you've done. And you're going to have to face who you are. You're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror. How do you feel about that? Oh, and then, because this is the thing about love. If they're really being forced to sit and love themselves, that means they're going to have to love everything that they've done to hurt you. Do you know how strong of a heart it takes to be able to do that? Do you know how strong of a person it takes to be able to say, yeah, I can love that part of myself? Let them love themselves then. Let them figure it out. Let them figure it out. And may that love be an elevation. Because if they can figure out how to love themselves there, they're not staying there. Get it up. They're not staying there. Get it up again. Love and elevation. That's why they go together for me, is because you got to figure out, love is what breaks those binds that want to keep you down. And then you got to figure out elevation. Where are we going? How are we getting there? What's the next step? So it's here and then emotion. Here, we got to work through it, and then it's emotion. It has to be both together. That's how I curse people. We got enough pain in the world. We got enough people who hate each other. We got enough of this icky, yucky, garbage, trashy stuff going on. Look at Mother Earth. She's in pain too. You think she wants more pain right now? No. No, she doesn't. Think about everything that we've done to her over the previous many generations. I mean, like hundreds of years. The advancements of technology. That's not even to get into the systems that exist on this earth that have caused the people on this earth pain. That's a whole other many hours of conversation. She doesn't need more pain. The mothers don't need more pain. Birthing is enough pain by itself, okay? Birthing is enough pain by itself. We don't need to add to it. I don't need to add to it. Listen, I'm going to speak for myself, and we don't need to add to it. I'm going to speak for the collective that resonates for it too. We don't need to add to it. The earth is already shaking and breaking. Okay, we've already got climate change going on. We already got natural disasters going on. I'm not trying to break somebody's spirit down to hurt them so that they are stuck somewhere. Look at where we're stuck. Look at the earth right now. Look at where we are. Look at where we are. We don't need more of it. There's enough, okay? There's more than enough of that in the world. So I'm wrapping them up in love, because that means everything they touch is going to be wrapped up in that cycle too. And that means probably the ripple effects are going to go on for hundreds of years. So let it be in love and elevation. Let it be in love and elevation. And it's going to also ask that you understand, why do I want this revenge? Maybe I don't want them to be elevated. Maybe I want them to be, because listen, then you got to learn how to love yourself too. Maybe I don't want them to be elevated. Maybe I want them to hurt because they hurt me. Maybe I want them to hurt. Maybe I want them to be in a position where they're worse off than I was. Well, why do you want that? How can you love yourself so that maybe there's other people who've hurt you and wanted to see you in a worse place? I'm sorry if that's true. Let there be love and elevation through and through. So you don't have to go through that. You don't have to go through that. You can break that cycle too. You can break that cycle too. Anytime that you're casting a new cycle, you're breaking an old one. Anytime you're breaking an old cycle, you're casting a new one. So if you're gonna go and curse somebody, you gotta look at the curses that you're in. And for me, anytime I come up against a curse, the answer is love and elevation. Sometimes there's some other ones in it too. Truth, yes. Free, for sure. Love you free. Love you truth. Justice, love you justice. I sure do. I sure do. Love you justice. Love you justice. Yeah, I love you justice. Death has had to help me out. Love you death. Okay, elevation in death. That's true. Love you death. Love you death. Love you mother death. I love you life. Love you life. Love you life. There's other words of mothers and spirits that have helped me to, love and elevate. Love and elevate. Elevate in love. Through and through. So it's up to you how you're gonna do it. Because there's some people who want to go and curse people and they want to stick them down. But if you're gonna go and curse somebody and stick them down, then there's something over you that's sticking you down. So I just rather break the cycle because I don't want to be stuck down. Hello, I have other things to do. I have other things to go and create. I have things to go and elevate. I have things I need to fly with. I gotta be up in the sky. I gotta come back to the earth. I gotta be in the water. I gotta be with the land. Okay, I got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. And if there's spirits holding me down to press over me in a way I don't agree with, think about that in the systems for a second. Think about that in the systems for a second. To press over you in a way that you don't want, I'm not channeling that energy into a curse. Nope. Because that means that's going to come over me. I'm going to be pressed over. No. So that's what I'll say about it. How to curse. Love and elevate. Love them, love yourself, elevate them. Because if somebody is drawing power, this is the final thing maybe I'll say about it. If somebody's drawing power from those cycles that they're in, look at the world right now, okay? That those cycles don't help people. They hurt people with purpose to just bring more pain. If somebody's drawing power from that, and now you're wrapping them up and forcing them to elevate in love, they're not gonna have the power. Their power's gone. Everything they've been drawing power on is gone. They can't draw power on the pain anymore. They've got to figure out how to love. They can't draw power on the hurt anymore. They got to figure out how to love. That's a curse for somebody who is actually bringing pain to the world and is doing it on purpose and is gaining power from it. Yeah, figuring out how to love is a curse then. Figuring out how to love is a curse then. So let them be cursed. Let them love in elevation. Let their curse be love then. Because once they figure it out, thank you, Spirit, and thank you, love. Love and elevation, love you, that's true. Once they figure it out, either their life or ancestrally, the thing about that curse of love is once you actually figure out how to love isn't a curse anymore. Love isn't a curse. It wasn't a curse in the first place. I mean, it is because they didn't want to do it. And you're taking their power away from them. So yeah, it looks like a curse. It looks like a curse because it is for them. But if we're looking at the big picture, if we're looking at if we're looking at really what's going on in the world, that's not a curse. That's helping the people. That's helping the people. That's not just helping that person. That's helping the people. That's helping the people. Ugh. So let them be cursed then. They got to figure out how to love. Let them be cursed then. And let thy love elevate them. However it is that you will work with those fundamentals. For me, I say in love and elevation because for me, that's what's true. That's what's real. Those are my answers to get out of my cycles. Those are my answers to help me not hurt myself. Okay, those are my answers to help me in my practice. So if you don't feel like love and elevation is like the thing for you, which I have no malice against, okay? If you're working in something like justice, and justice is like your thing. If you're working in, will be another one, truth, and truth is like your thing, okay? Wherever and however your thing is, you know, everybody's got their thing. So what your thing is, as long as that is the thing that's really helping you, if somebody comes against you, clearly they need help. So go help them. Even if it's gonna look like a curse to them. Probably because it is a curse to them. But it's gonna help them. So look at what helps you. There's your answer. Look at what, because it needs to be, this is the thing about it. This is what I mean. You got to upkeep the work. You got to keep doing it. If you're going to curse somebody else, you got to already be in it. So if you're going to put somebody in a jar, you got to keep up what's going on with that. You're going to cast something that's out of love, but you're always working in love. Now you got to be up in these cycles where there's not love around you. That's why I work to curse in love and elevation, because I'm already doing that. I'm doing that every day. I'm speaking elevation and love over myself every single day. I'm always working in love and elevation. I'm always sitting in that magic. I'm always working in it. I'm always in those cycles. So if I'm always in it, then I'm always feeding whatever it is that cursed that other person. And I don't have to do any extra work. It's not extra for me. And usually if it's not extra, it happens instantaneously. Something's gonna happen. The more that you are rooted in the work that you are doing, thank you, Spirit. Love you, Spirit. The more that you are rooted in the work that you are doing, the swifter and faster and quicker it's gonna pick up. So if you're every single day speaking elevation in your ancestral lineage, speaking elevation in your world, speaking elevation in your head, speaking elevation in your home, speaking elevation in your work, speaking elevation in your love, okay? If you're doing that, speaking your elevation, you're doing it in love. Speaking elevation, you're doing it in love. I'm doing this because I love you. We're elevating because I love you. I'm elevating my ancestors because I love you, okay? A lot of times you speak that sort of elevation over your ancestors. The ones who don't work in elevation and love are going to rest. They're going to rest. They're going to rest. So if you feel like there's somebody around you who needs a curse on them, let them figure out how to be in the fundamentals of a practice that you keep for yourself, that's healthy, that helps you, that creates a world that you really actually want to live in. Because if you're going and casting something on somebody else, it's going to create a world that they're going to have to live in, which means you're also going to have to live in a world that has whatever energy that is in it. If you want to live in a world that's a little malicious and malevolent and evil, and you're casting those kinds of curses, then by all means, if you want to sit in the responsibility of it, that's up to you. I personally don't want to do that. I have nothing against you if you do want to do that. I just personally don't want to do that. I've been through a lot in my life, and I feel like it's not something that I personally need. And that's all right. There's different ways to fight, and everybody has a different purpose with their fight. That's what it is. And if you're another practitioner who is really sitting in their truth and you're honest with yourself and you're like, yeah, this is how I feel like I need to use my magic in the world. I feel like I need to go and, be a little bit cruel. Then that's what you're gonna do. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the witches. You got magic, you're practicing. You're helping us keep the balance then. You're helping us keep the balance then. I might be somebody who works in love and elevation. I might be somebody who's working in that. But for whatever reason, if you feel like you gotta be cruel, then go be cruel, because there's a balance that needs to be kept. There's a balance that needs to be kept. Sometimes things need to be slept, okay? And always there's a balance that needs to be kept. There's a balance that needs to be kept. We are balance keepers, not balance sleepers, okay? Balance keepers, and we work together in that. And I also know in myself, here's the thing about it. I know in myself, if there's another practitioner casting cruelty against me and I haven't done anything wrong, I've got enough fundamentals and foundations in my practice. I know that work isn't going to touch me, so I'm not worried about it. If there's a practitioner who's practicing cruelty for a curse, they're going up against somebody else, that other person's fundamentals are not my problem and not my issue. They're going to learn what they need to learn. They're going to learn what they need to learn. And if for whatever reason it comes through and touches me, well, you know, hello, let me up my security a little bit. There's clearly some things going on that I need to clear out. I need to clean up. I need to get myself a little bit more guarded. It's a learning lesson at that point. But I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I just want to make that very clear at the end of the video here, or towards the end. I don't have a problem with people who practice curses in a way that is more cruel. Okay? I've been through a cruel school in my training. I understand, and I understand. I understand. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we gotta be like that. That's just what it is. Sometimes that's just what it is. I just, on a personal level, I don't have the heart for it. I don't have the heart for it. That's just who I am in my spirit. I don't have the heart for that sort of thing. Not all the time. Every once in a while, you know, there's a world of shadows I keep specifically for a reason. It's in the shadows. You know what I mean? So there's a reason things are put to sleep, and there's a balance that we keep. So we have no issue here. We have no issue here if you're someone who is working in curse work that is like a little bit more, you know, that we have no issue here. Yeah, we have no issue here. That's just what it is. I got nothing against you. Got nothing against you. Because I think it's honestly wonderful that people are given, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant for just a second. People are given the kind of like reality. Hello, we have a reality to live in. We have a world to live in together. I think it's incredible that we've been given a reality. People have a reality to go and create whatever they want. People have the ability to create whatever they want in this world. So if you're gonna go and create cruelty for a reason, that's you using your free will. And that's why I don't have any. Okay. If you're using your free will and you feel it's free, go create in that cruelty. But if it's not free will and you're creating because you're up in some sort of binding and somebody asked you to be cruel, may you also be elevated in love. That's true. Because you know, sometimes those ancestors will bind you up in things you don't even realize it. So if you're caught up in a cycle and you don't realize it, and you're looking at maliciousness and malevolent, may you be elevated in love too. And may it be easy. That's true. Is there anything else? It takes everybody. It takes all of us to have a practice, to be in the practice. It takes everybody, and it takes all of us. It takes everybody. It takes all of us. It takes the practitioners you would agree with. It takes the practitioners that you would disagree with. It takes the practitioners who you don't want to be with. It takes everybody to be able to keep up the balance of the work in magic. Magic is a gift. Magic is a spirit. Magic is a being. So if you are gifted with magic and you're practicing out in the world, you're helping to keep the balance. And everybody has a different position within that. Everyone has a different authority. Everyone has a different experience. Everybody comes from different places and different people. There's rules and roots that I work in very specifically for very specific purposes. And we might be working in similar things and have a different pathway to get there. And I don't have anything against going a different path to get to the same result, to get to a familiar result. That's real. A familiar result. There is a blog connected to this talking a little bit more about the ancestral crossings and just keeping things up. So if you're looking for a little bit more of the fundamentals and awareness there's a link down below. Thank you for being here and supporting me. I'll talk to you soon. That's true.